Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, to wherever and whenever you are in the world at the moment. This is Adam Harrison, and you are listening to the Cigar Box Guitar Builder podcast. Just in a moment, I will be joined, hopefully, by Joe, Darren, and Jesse to talk about all things Cigar Box Guitar, and especially pertaining to the group. A very, very big thank you this morning to CB Giddy and the team at, Ben Baker, of course, and CB Giddy, for sponsoring our show. Our show is also sponsored by Steve Harvey's Killer Strings, and especially Killer Strings Australia, which you can purchase at birdwoodguitars.com, which is, of course, my own website. We've got a few things on today, so let's get on and let's have a chat with the boys. All right, we are met and we are joined by Joe, Darren, Jesse. You've got the Four Amigos here today.
Hey.
Hello, everybody.
Waiting for Jesse.
Hello.
We were talking about just talking about off air. We were just talking about Joe's uncle. He's got an uncle. What's his name?
His name is Brian Johnson. So my uncle is Brian Johnson. Technically, not the singer from AC/DC, but I just sort of leave that part out.
Yeah. I was just going to say, because I listen to a lot of podcasts, and one of the podcasts I listen to is one called We Have Ways, which is, it's a World War II podcast with a couple of very, very cool historians. Very funny, but it's really great. But a few years ago, they actually interviewed him because of his dad. His dad was in World War II, landed in Italy and all that sort of stuff. And he's so funny. Like, his recollections of his conversations with his dad and all that sort of stuff are brilliant. And he's like this massive car guy, too. I think Brian Johnson's awesome. I have so much time for that guy. But,
cool.
Oh, dear, oh, dear. Well, let's talk about all things Cigar Box Guitar. Now, I'm kind of still waiting on my computer to wake up because it's being dick.
It was a little disappointing, the electronic dance music cover challenge, wasn't it? It was a tough one.
It was never going to be.
Honestly, I had one lined up. I can't even bloody remember what it is now, but it was. I had the rhythm done, and I just made it heavier, and it actually sounded really good. My problem was I had to learn the melody on a lap slide because I couldn't quite get the melody proper on a 3 or 4 string, and I just didn't have the time to sit down and learn it. And I'm kind of regretting it because I really would have liked to have, done something way left of field than what we used to.
Well, there's no reason you can't. There's no reason you can't still do it. I'm
an in the moment guy. It's either now or never.
I get that. I was looking for a guitar, basically. What I was going to do was I was going to get a guitar and I was going to hold it like this and I was going to go
for the bass.
Like that, and that was going to be the song.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the solid wood one.
Oh, that's all right. You got enough there to handle it.
Yeah. It's all cranium, mate. It's all cranium. That's my catchphrase. I think that's the name of my next album. Oh, dear. All right, let's get onto this. Let's get onto this group thing. So I had a thought today, which was rare for me, but it did kick in. And how's everyone feeling about the group being private?
I think it's better.
You think it's better?
I think it's better. It seems to be leveled out. We're not seem to getting hammered with spam as much.
Yeah.
Other than that, I haven't really thought about the negatives of it.
Yeah.
If there is any.
There's a lot of people still not answering the questions.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
I just delete them.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Some of the names I actually know, and it's like, I can't let you in. If you don't answer the questions, that's the number one.
I've sent a few. I have gone in with a couple of them that I kind of go, do I know that name? Or
yeah.
And I've
sent them a
sent
message,
some messages through, but I actually sent a message through to one guy, and the guy said, I didn't sign up for any group.
Yeah. There you go.
What worries me, I'm still going through. I must have deleted 50 members this week. Who, when I went in and looked at their profiles, either had inactive profiles or they had content which was not aligned with our group.
Yeah.
That obviously there's no one, they're not going to be interested in something like this. There'd been no content, and it's spam. So I have gone through, I've knocked off another 50 this week, and I'm still actively going through and going back through any that come up that look suspect, and I know I don't like having to do it, but at the end of the day, it is important. But what worries me is that, I think we've had, I'd say 15 requests this week, around about there, and that's dramatically down from what was happening before and the people joining before. So I think it tells us we've still got a long way to go in regards to cleaning the group up, which is.
But we are after quality over quantity. We want to protect what we've got.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think it's different if we were a group that was. That was a group that was, let's say, focused on selling vacuum cleaners or a real estate agent or something that wasn't as niche as what we're doing. It's like,
we're a place to hang out.
Yeah, if you look at all of those ads that are on Instagram, especially Instagram, saying boost your numbers, and what they're doing is they're chucking an algorithm in, or they're doing something to basically to bring on fake, or just random accounts, and it makes you look really busy.
Yeah,
but
you're not. You're not.
Yeah, I wonder if the Cigar Box Guitar group, which is a group which is sitting around about where we are numbers wise, I wonder whether their admin, because I'm a member of that group as well, and
yes, so am I.
I wonder whether they've been hit with the same thing. Had we not put the brakes on, I reckon we would have been pushing upwards of 19,000 by now. Do you know?
Yeah,
but
we would have been a messy 18,000 though.
It just wouldn't have meant anything. That's the biggest issue with it,
Yeah, and the content would have been getting off track as well.
Yep.
It would have just ads and junk that we don't want.
Yeah. Yeah. I do see that we've had some member comments such as new people coming on board, saying, "Oh, this isn't a Cigar Box guitar, but what do you think?" And some of the stuff's actually been really, really interesting. We had one which was, obviously we've got, I can't remember her name, the girl who did the heart guitar. Sarah, that's right. Now, I did reach out to Sarah to see if she wanted to be interviewed, but she was a bit shy, I think. She declined. She very graciously declined. Sarah,
that's a shame.
Yeah, I know. I really would have loved to have had a chat with her, and I think it would have been really great. But that's okay. That's all right. That's not a big deal. I did notice that Brendan Adams has got himself a new vice, a new guitar vice. I've got one.
Yes.
I do use it. It's very big. It's very, very big. And I tend to use my bench a lot, especially with necks. If I'm using a spoke shave or anything, I tend to use my bench a lot. I put the neck on the bench
with a clamp,
clamp it, have the neck come off the bench, and kind of work that way.
That's how I do it too. I do it the same way. I don't even actually own a vice.
Yeah, I think I got mine. Mark Wilmot a few years ago. He got one, and he told me where there was a place in Queensland. There's an Aussie place here. Well, Aussie place in Queensland, obviously. But I got mine from them. I think it was about $150 back then. It's a good vice. It's great. In fact, I did use it. I did use it yesterday to do Alex Lechner's pickups for his guitar that I'm building for the Great Aussie CBG Swap.
You made the pickups?
No. I did the Chicken Bone John thing with the bass pickups. So I'm using single coil bass pickups, and where there's the little tabs, you know what the bass pickups look like, the little square ones.
Yeah, with the tabs underneath.
Yeah, and on the sides they've got these little tabs, and what you do basically with the bass guitar is you screw it directly into the body of the guitar, so you can't turn it
to raise.
It's not like a normal pickup where you've got a steel base plate and a pickup ring around, and the screw goes through the ring into the pickup and lifts the pickup up and down. So from the top, what this does is this kind of has the screws going into the body of the instrument, and you've got a spring underneath the pickup, so you can push it down and let it release up. That's how a bass pickup works. But what Chicken Bone John has done is he figured out a way to actually use a saw, and you basically, where the side of the pickup sitting that way, you actually just chop it off and you create a lip, and you can just screw it to the top. It's great. It was fantastic. I did show it, I think on a video recently. But I did the opposite with his, because I've used a fairly thick top. It's about a centimetre. The top of his guitar is almost a centimetre thick. And I basically, instead of cutting and leaving the lip at the top of the pickup, I left it at the bottom. So I've actually mounted it underneath, and so it won't lift or raise or drop. But I think it's going to be really, really good. But I used the vise for that because it has the rubber insert, and I didn't want to damage the top of the pickup in a normal vise. But I must admit, I have a normal vise at the end of my workbench, my main workbench. It's a little vise about this big, a little old one I got from my father-in-law, bless him. And what I've done is I've superglued plywood. I superglued plywood to the inside of the clamps. You know how they've got the teeth? Yeah. And so I've superglued and every now and again you've got to re-superglue it and put them back on. But like when I rip the side of a neck, for example, if I've got extra fretboard material over the end and I'm ripping it with a hand plane, I tend to use that. I tend not to use the big vise because I don't have it set up right. It's very clunky.
I'm the same. I don't even actually own a vise.
Hey,
Darren, when you do your router work, do you use a clamp to the bench or do you put it in a vise?
No, I got a vise out on the front of me shed.
So you use a vise a fair bit?
Pretty much.
Yeah. What about you, Jesse? You also vise, or do you clamp to the bench?
I have a vise. I don't use it for things that you would normally use it for. A lot of times I'll use my vise for when I'm painting a body, and then I'll put it on kind of a hole.
Yeah. I usually just clamp to the bench.
When I do my neck work, I use routers all the time. I don't really use hand tools. So I just I don't clamp it or nothing. I just
hold it.
I just hold it.
Do you shape your necks with a router as well, Darren?
I do most of the shaping.
I always do mine with a router.
Yeah, the whole lot, yeah.
So, 3 strings and some 4 strings, I'll just use a round over bit and a router.
Yep.
But when I get up to some 4 stringers and my 6 stringers, I'll use a router to take out most of the meat, and then I'll use a belt sander to
Yeah. Yep, that's pretty much how I do it as well. I don't really use, what did you say, Adam? It's the Spokane?
Spoke shave.
Although
I'd
love to have a spoke shave, though.
Yeah, you got to keep them really sharp. Mine's just blunt as shit. I used a spoke shave on Alex's yesterday.
Sorry, Adam. They're like a spoke shave is like a really full-on cheese grater, isn't it?
Kind of. Okay, so it's basically you got two handles on
Potato
like
peeler.
Oh, it's one
and
like that.
it's like a little
right.
motorbike handlebar, right? But in the middle you've got there's a blade that goes that way. Apologies to people listening on YouTube.
Isn't it?
Yeah, and you can pull it towards you, and you can push it away. It's like a hand plane that instead of holding it front to back, you're kind of holding side to side, like little motorbike handlebars, and you can push it away from you, and you can pull it towards you. Look, I do like using a spoke shaver. Usually when I do my 6-string necks, which I want to get back into doing. I want to get back into building some standard 6-string electrics as well, time permitting. I do like using spoke shave and my Shinto rasp. So they're the main two
Shinto
things.
rasp. That's the other one. Yeah, Shinto rasp.
So that's
more like a file, isn't it?
Yeah, well, they're kind of like it's kind of like hacksaw blades, which are crisscrossed.
Crossed over.
Yeah, so they're kind of crisscrossed. But the one I really want to get. There's one I really want to get, and I can't see them here in Australia. Like Bunnings don't sell them. I'll have to try and find out where. If you look at Chicken Bone John's videos, it's like a big cheese grater, right? And
that's the one I'm thinking of. That's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, and it's and you basically it just hogs out meat. Like,
chews it. Yeah, just chews it to bits.
Chews it to pieces, and that's great. The main reason I use power tools as opposed to hand tools for most of what I do is because I've got bursitis, which is a type of arthritis in both my shoulder joints. So
yeah, I got that.
Yeah, so if I do any kind of even if I've got to fret 4 necks in a row. That's it. I'm done for the day.
The repetitiveness is what does you in. Same as me. Repetitive stress. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's.
I should say this.
Yeah,
I've carved out a few necks with that.
Yeah, I love that as well.
What the hell is that thing?
It's a file.
That's a bastard file.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know why they call it a bastard file? Do you know why they call it? That's
big.
Yeah. Do you know why they call it a bastard file?
That's what she said too.
Why is that?
It's because when you miss and you take the top of your knuckle off.
You bastard. Yeah. That's a pretty decent weapon you got there, Darren. That's like what kind of looks like a machete size sort of thing.
Yeah, it is. It's quite, but it is.
It's mainly because Darren's not used to holding big things in his hands.
Really? Yeah. That's all about how
on these ukulele necks that I've been working on, though, I do wish that I had more manual wood shaping tools.
Yeah.
Like small, like files and brass and stuff like that, because these ukulele necks are so small. The power tools are too big, so
I use a lot of files. Files are great.
I had to use a lot of hand sanding to shape. I spent a lot of time shaping these necks.
Mm.
Yeah.
But Jesse, Jesse, work on a 48-hour day.
Yeah.
We still don't know. I'm telling you, I think he's got Oompa Loompas in the basement or something working for him.
Yeah, he must have something. Yeah.
I mean, this is just nuts.
Well, I'll show you. Sorry. So I got necks
in the dungeon.
So just letting you know, Jesse's just walked us into his dungeon here, and in the corner I can see he's got a box of Oompa Loompas saved. And they're all screaming to get out. They're saying, "Let us on the wood tools. Let us on the wood tools."
See, they're not ukulele necks. They're full-size Oompa Loompa necks.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're for Brian Johnson.
Yeah. Not
very
the singer.
Very good.
Not the singer.
Yeah, this one I got. I'll do a quick show and tell. This is going to be Bert's neck for the swap.
Oh boy,
he's going to listen to this and be like, "Damn, I wish I could see it."
Bert, why don't we have this on video?
I don't know if it's going to work. It's too bright. Yeah, it's too bright. They are glow-in-the-dark fret dots.
Oh, mate. Yeah, I think Bert does listen to the podcast, mate. So, But I'm telling you, mate.
I can't say anything about this, but that's the face.
Pretty.
Wow, bright pink.
Yeah. Barbie Rainbow.
Wow. Yeah, but nothing says doom like Barbie Rainbow.
Exactly. Especially when it's in the hands of a bird.
That's it. Dude, that is epic. That is absolutely
Pretty, isn't it?
epic.
So, I don't know if you guys know this, but I built Alex a full-size custom bass last year. That had the same glow-in-the-dark powder, pigment powder. That
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I use powder. I'm actually not too happy with it. The glow doesn't last long.
Yeah.
It's not like an all-night thing.
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
a black light will charge it faster than anything else.
Okay. Yep.
So when I told another guy built a bass for, I told him, hey, before your show, charge it up in front of a black light first, and
it worked.
Facebook's a funny thing, man. There's a Swedish builder, Swedish or Swiss or from somewhere up there. Apologies for not knowing exactly where, but he's got HUMMINGBIRD Guitars. I don't know if you've heard of him before.
So good.
All right, you got to check him out, Joe, Darren. You got to check him out. He only builds about 8 guitars a year, but they're like $20,000 guitars. It's every single piece of it is handmade. They are immaculate.
What's his name again?
HUMMINGBIRD.
Right.
Yeah. He's got
He's the guy, Joe, that he had those little inlet for the fret dots, for the side dots that I thought you were interested in doing one time. They're like pieces of, what are they, Adam? You know what
I do remember that. Yeah. That was, I vaguely remember. I actually shared, you sent it to me and I shared it. I vaguely remember it, and it changed in the sun. It had different effects to it.
He's
pretty stuff.
He's an incredible builder, but he's
that guy.
Yeah, he's very much a bespoke guy. He's got absolutely no interest in mechanization. He does the big picks, the big thick guitar picks out of timbers and metals and what is that not polyester, out of the resin and all that sort of stuff, He does all that sort of thing. But I read a thing he put up. Some guy was having a go at him, and he was saying he was talking about the fact that he was one of the first that kind of got into doing this particular thing. Oh my God! Yeah. It's like, this is why Facebook is so screwed, because some guy just absolutely attacked him. Told him it was this and that. You saying you're one of the first, blah, blah, blah. And I can tell you, HUMMINGBIRD was one of the first. I remember when he first came out with it, everyone was kind of going, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And it was just the argument that went back and forwards. And I got to admit, he destroyed the bloke. He was just like, dude, get a life. It was like, oh my God, this is why some people are on the
There's a guitar builder that I follow. It's Barlow Guitar.
Yeah.
Similar work.
Yeah.
And I've seen people smash him as well, and he very politely puts them back in their place with like one or two sentences.
Yeah.
No point wasting time with them.
I can't remember his name. I'm not sure if it's Max, but it's a fella from the Cool Old Guitar Shop in Gladesville. He's a guy who started, I think, in Five Dock in his basement, basically collecting old Japanese guitars. And he ended up a few years ago opening up a shop in Gladesville in kind of the warehouse district. And he's gone from strength to strength. He's just opened a brand new shop, or he's about to open a brand new shop in Brisbane, I think at Wollongabba. I might be wrong. But it's definitely in Brisbane, a brand new store. But he's the same. People, because he puts his guitars up there. I think his prices are reasonable. He has... he goes to Japan, and he came back from Japan. He had boxes of 100 guitars, just came back. But before he puts them all up, he has a luthier on staff who basically goes through each one, makes sure they're perfect and great. And he's got a very good reputation, but again, he gets these weird people. These just weird people just contacting him and like, you know, putting in lowball offers and like they just got no idea. And it's like if you look at a price of something sometimes and you look at it and you go, nah, I think you're joking. You're not going to contact the person and tell them that they're this or they're that, or you just don't shop.
But they do.
Yeah, but they do. It's just crazy.
That's a saying I have. You know, you made it when you have hated.
Yeah.
Because that means you now have such a big audience that a percentage of that has to dislike you. If you don't have anyone dislike you, you don't have a big enough audience.
Yeah. It's I every now and again I must have a big enough audience. So.
Yeah. Every now and then I hit it too, and I went, "Oh yes, I made it again."
Yeah, you definitely get the outliers. I don't think it's like I said, like we've all talked about. You know, I think last time we were having a chat, we were talking about nightmare moments and things like that. But we've all had clients that we just wished had never picked up the phone. You know, those guys that you know, you always know the ones because before the build starts, you sit there and they want to change everything on it. It's like, okay, and that's fine. Usually at the beginning of a sale, so you know, look, the reason I'm saying this is because I know that the majority of people listening to this are actually builders, and I know that there's a lot of builders who are listening to this who aren't necessarily at a place where they're, you know, or at a place maybe where they're just starting out to either sell, to take orders,
trying to figure out how to value their work.
Yeah, that type of thing. And the one thing I can say is that you are always going to get that particular customer who, no matter what you do, there's something going on in their life, and it is now their job to make your life as miserable as their life. And it's gonna happen, guys. It's gonna happen. And you got two choices. One, you cancel the sale straight up and you say, you know what, mate, here's your money back. Or no, I'm not. Or you just say no from the outset. Or you suck it up and you get it done. You know, but
that's usually what I do.
Yeah.
I have a hard time saying no.
Yeah.
So I usually just suck it up and get on with the job. But I do let them. If I get what you're saying about that red alert early in the startup process of doing a build for a customer, early in that process, if I start getting red flags that this is going to be complicated, I reassure them that they've come to me because they want my work, and I will build them something that they want. And then I'll say, we can only go with about 3 ideas. You can give me 3 ideas. I may pick them all. I may not pick them all. But that's what I'm going to use to inspire me to build something that you want. So I try to pull them up quick.
Yeah.
And I try to say, no, I have the reins on this ship.
Yeah.
You can inspire me, and I will build you what you want without you even realising that's what you wanted.
Yeah. But and I know what you're saying. But it's always been the ones that I've had that gut feeling about who I've just...
Oh, you know. Yeah, you know.
No.
Yeah.
You know.
And I've been called out too many times, so I learn as I go.
I had one guy feigning cancer, you know, saying, oh, you know, and I found out later he didn't. And I, did ridiculous prices. I did crazy prices. No matter what I did, it was, you know, there was always, you know, a complaint. There was always, you know, it was just one of those things where no matter what you did, and you did it for them at a crazy good price, I don't, you know, and I knew, you know, I knew going forward, I'm sitting there kicking myself going, you know, this is going to bite you in the ass. And it did. It did. You know, I lost money out of it. You know, I basically, it was just a case of saying, you know what, no, because it did. It cost me time, cost me effort, cost me parts. You know, what he paid me didn't cover the anguish either. But let me say, out of the many guitars and the many clients that I've had, I can probably pick one or two that have done that. So what I do know, if I take that away, if I take those two away, I put them in a vault and learn from that. And it's not learning, it's not like someone's rung me up and said, oh, Adam, you know, I'd like the guitar with the neck feel like a C shape, or I have, one guy called me, said, I've got really bad arthritis in my hands, I can't have a big neck, I need a very, very small neck. So little things like that, which were learning experiences for me, all of that's great, all of that's fine, that's like non-issue, it's all good. But when it's just complaints for complaints' sake, put them aside and say, when you get that feeling, maybe it's best just to kind of say, look, you know, here, why don't you try Joe?
Can I just say something? This is why I don't sell. This is why I keep all my guitars.
Yeah, look, Darren, I respect that. I totally respect that. But you got to remember, I've built over 2,500 guitars, and out of all of those guitars, I've literally got 30 at the moment that I play. All of the other ones I've either given away or sold. All right, let me reverse that. I've sold and I've given a couple away. But it's only a couple. There's only a couple that's actually happened with, you know. And it's so I don't want to harp on the negative. The whole point is that what I'm trying to say is there are negatives. You will get those types of people because you're not dealing with a guitar. You're dealing with a particular type of person. And people are people. We all have good days. We all have bad days. We all go through shit. We all go through great times. We all go through, and hopefully most of the time you're at a baseline, and you hopefully have more ups than you do downs. But when you do have a downer, you know, there are some people who will try and take it out on other people, you know, and that happens. It's like, but it's far and few between. But what you do learn from it when you do go through it is I think you do learn to accept not taking a sale, getting the sale and going, you know what, this just isn't working for both of us. Learn when to cut your losses and go, okay, no, either here's your money back, or as Joe said, look, if we're going to go forward with this is how it goes. And if you're not happy with that, I'll give you money back. Or let's cancel the sale. You know, it's that type of thing. Just being honest, I think being honest with people is the biggest thing. Jesse, do you feel that? Do you see that yourself?
So I actually just had this conversation with my current boss like last week. You know, the traditional thought is the customer is right. But I've learned over the years, the customer is not right. The person doing the job is right, you know, because if they don't like your job, they can take their business someplace else. Yep. You know, and we do as artists, as contractors, as whatever we are, we do take it all to heart, you know, whether we want to or not, but we try to program ourselves to just strive to do our own thing the best of our ability.
That's right, but still to meet the customer's requirement. Like,
right, you know, like I said, I did carpentry work, self-employed for almost 8 years, and I almost hated it all the time because of those customer relations. You know, they're always, you know, bickering about stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And in the end, they're always happy. You know, they're always happy, but it's
if they trust you.
Yeah, you know, because some other contractor did them wrong, so they think that everyone is like that, or whatever. And I was as honest as I could be, and I still take that. I mean, it's a personality thing, actually. It's more than, especially with guitar building, right? It's more than just a business. And if I'm going to take my passion and I'm going to share it with anybody in the world, it's kind of a two-way gift.
Yeah, it's a connection. You want to connect with that person because of your passion. You're not just offering a guitar; you're sharing the passion. And I totally agree with you on that aspect. It's really hard to build for someone that I don't gel with. And considering most of my builds are about 6 months to build, that's a long relationship with someone. If there's not a harmony, it's difficult.
Yeah, Darren, you just went through. Sorry, I was just going to say, Darren just went through an interesting experience, not necessarily with guitars, but with some benches. Let the guys know what happened with that.
Well, I just told him it wasn't feasible for.
What's this for? Sorry, Darren. Darren. What's this for?
Start at the beginning.
I'll start at the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, one day I was born. Too far back. I was.
Yeah, bring it up 100 years.
I was actually talking to my neighbour, and he said to me, "I've got a customer that wants a couple of benches." And he said, like, he was flooded with a lot of work of his own, so he said, "Is it all right if I give him your number?" And I said, "Yeah, all right." And they got back to him and said, "Yeah, we'll be happy to have somebody else build them." And so he gave me the number, and I tried to ring him twice, and I couldn't get on. And then I sent messages, and then they finally got back to me and told me what they want and everything. And they said they wanted the 2 benches to be as low cost as possible. And I said to him, "How low a cost are you looking at?" And they told me $250 a bench. And, like, seriously, by the time I go out, find everything, stain it.
It cost you 250 materials.
Yeah. So.
Zero profit.
I ended up messaging him back saying, "Yeah, it's not feasible. I'm not going to, do it."
Good on you. Good on you, Darren.
Yeah, 250 is too low. Prices of things here in Australia, currency is different all around the world, but for us, 250, that would be just about all materials. Yeah. That's what it would cost.
Yeah, and in timber, and even if you were just getting oak, getting some fresh oak or something like that from Bunnings,
it's not cheap anymore.
It's not. And then you've got wear and tear on tools, parts. It just, and then time, literally time, and not to mention your experience. See, this is
what I would have done. I would have said 250. If you guys supply all the materials, I'll do it for 250.
Yeah, yeah. People don't understand, and I think we need to. And I think you dealt with it really nicely too, Darren, because you were matter of fact. From what you're saying, you were matter of fact about it. You gave a good reason. Explanation. Yeah. It wasn't a case of telling get stuffed. It's not just us that's feeling the pinch. At the moment, it's it is our potential clients as well. So this is the thing. I've got a few builds up at the moment. For juke joint rockers, and they're $469 guitar a piece. But even as it is, I'm at a spot now with these guitars, with the time that it takes, with the staining, with not necessarily parts, but it's in the time to actually build the instrument and know I'm building a really good instrument. I'm at a stage now where I'm actually having to seriously consider raising prices.
Yeah,
because I'm not getting
everywhere.
I'm just not getting the time. I'm just not getting the money for the time on them. And people are looking at people are looking at one guy actually shot back at me once. He said, it was a 4-week build for an instrument. And he said it was 2 weeks into the build. And he said, is it finished yet? And I said to him, no, it's not finished yet. And I said, in fact, it might take, because of the weather, I said it might actually take an extra week and a half to actually get it done. He said, but it's just a cigar box. And I said, no. I said, let me explain what's going on. And by the time I'd explained to him that it depends on how you as a builder approach your instruments. So there are some guitars that just get knocked together. Do you know what I mean? Like, and they're the fun ones sometimes. They're the real fun ones where you just get a box, you stick a neck through it, you don't put frets on it, you don't put a fretboard on it, you maybe stick a little piezo on it, and it's a little clanger, clang, clang, and you can do that in an afternoon. You do that in a couple of hours, sit there building a traditional cigar box guitar.
Yeah,
but
it is all in the approach.
Yeah, but when you build that, so I'm just holding up one of my guitars, guys, just for the listeners. When you go to that, and you're looking at making sure that your string height's perfect, you're making sure that you've got the right intonation, you're making sure that you've got the nuts cut to a particular height to allow when you press down at the first fret for the guitar not to go out of tune. This is not part of just being a guitar builder or a builder. That's where being a luthier comes into it. And it is a case of... Sorry, Jesse, yeah.
Oh, well, it just reminded me. I just because I work on guitars, as well for customers. And I finished that purple sparkly SG. Did you guys happen to see that?
Yep.
I did, yep.
Okay. So that's like a $800 guitar.
Off the shelf.
Straight from the factory.
Yeah.
And I probably had 16 bullet points of what I did to get that thing playable.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they're getting $800 for that thing.
Mm.
Yeah. And, it took me an hour and a half to get that thing playing like butter. The guy gave me $45 to do it.
What?
Well, that's what I charge. I charge by the hour. So it took me an hour and a half. $30 an hour.
Just for comparison for us, Jesse, how much is a pack of strings, guitar strings for you? Just a regular pack of Slinkies or something else?
Probably $12.
So here, that's for me. I think at the local guitar shop, they're about 22.
Yeah, but even if you consider though, if you're paying $12, that'd be $17, $17.50 with the
$45 that he's charging is not that bad. That's more like $70 for us.
I completely disagree. I think for an hour and a half's work to get a guitar completely playable, I charge $85 an hour, Aussie, right? And
most people do. I think most luthiers. Yeah.
I think you're doing. You're way less. I think you're far more experienced. I think you should be charging more myself. But your point is very, very, very well taken. A lot of these, especially big box shops that are selling direct to clients. There's a lot of them coming up now, where all they're doing is they're basically. There's a few different forms of business that are happening, and this is the reason this is going on. There's your big box shop, which is they'll actually get the stock in from a supplier, put the product in their shop, and then they'll either sell to the person, or they'll sell online. A lot of people now buying online, but there's another form of business which I've been looking at myself. I must admit over the last couple of years, but it's not something that I've been overly happy with. Which is basically, and I've just gone completely blank on the terminology for it. It's when you open a website And what basically happens is you show the product that you can get for the customer. And what happens is the product is shipped usually...
Affiliation marketing.
Kind of thing. It's drop shipping. Sorry, it's drop shipping.
Drop shipping.
So what happens is you have a website, you put all the product that you want to sell on the website, but you don't have the product.
No, it's yours, though.
It's not yours. It comes from the supplier. So, in other words, if Joe, you ordered a guitar from me, you wouldn't get it from me. You would get it directly from, whichever company in China or Taiwan or whichever company. And you would get a
percentage for the sale.
That's it. And I get paid basically a certain amount. It usually takes 2 to 3 weeks. The problem with that is that for the client, they end up getting a guitar, I reckon, which is virtually unplayable, and that's probably what you ended up with, something like that, where it's just basically either come off the wall into the customer's hand. No Luthier's had a look at it, But you're right, Jesse.
Well, what the issues with it, Jesse?
The truss or the neck had a really bad back bow. It had a tunematic bridge and tailpiece, and there's so much different in the heights of it that there's too much
break angle.
Back angle of the string.
Yeah.
And that's when they break. They get pinched and they break. Every single screw, every tuner lug, everything was loose. The pickup height, it was about, a millimeter or so from the strings. They can't be that close to the strings.
No.
The height, the action was super high, so I dropped everything down, and got the neck all straightened out, and that thing sounded amazing at, just a little bit of time, that this big company could have put into it to make a better player for somebody.
Quality's no longer a thing in the world with that kind of sale.
No.
Yeah,
but
true.
Jesse, do you know what you're not charging for?
What's that?
Your knowledge. You're not charging your skill.
Experience.
You're charging for time, but time doesn't fix that guitar. It's your experience. It's those hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of working on other guitars, of learning, of researching, of reading magazines, of going through, of actually getting old guitars of your own and fixing them up, and all of this experience that you've got. So you're not charging for all of that, for that experience. And that's what people actually should be paying you for. Because the work you're doing is absolutely fantastic. They can't do it themselves. And there's people in the shop, the people in the shop certainly aren't doing it. And this is why I'm coming back to that crazy old, the old guitar, cool old guitars shop here in Gladesville. That's the reason he charges what he charges for the old Japanese guitars that he's got, because he's got a luthier on staff who actually goes through and meticulously fixes up every single one of those guitars and makes them playable again. In fact, probably more playable than they were when they came from the factory back in the 60s and 70s or 80s, whatever.
Yeah, just got to take a little bit of pride in what you do, and I say it all the time with anything that you do. And I wasn't in the military or anything, but I think it is like some sort of military saying, move with a purpose. And that's kind of my way of life is everything head first and conquer, and don't be afraid to try new things, because that's how you learn. And I want to show you guys something. It could be after our episode, but I want to show you something I got going on in the shop.
Oh, secrets.
Yeah, secrets.
Oh.
We're going to get stuck with the Oompa Loompas.
Oh, man. Hey,
send a few my way.
But so look, I think not that because I don't want the podcast, as far as people are listening at the moment, and as I said, new builders and things like that. Yeah, there are concerns when you're running a business. There are concerns. The biggest thing that you need to be able to do to run a successful business is a couple of things. The first thing is to make sure that you've got a good relationship with your clients. If you don't have a good relationship with your clients, try and fix it. If you can't fix that relationship, it's probably best not to work together. The money, however, always raises its ugly head. You know, it's very difficult for you to turn around and refuse money from somebody if they're offering it. Sometimes you do. We swallow our pride and we just do the best you can with the person that you're dealing with, you know, that type of thing. The other thing is to make sure that you're valuing your time and your experience. And this is why when we start building and we start, you know, the first guitars that we sell are usually really inexpensive. There's two reasons for it. One, you may not be building an entirely perfect product. Do you know what I mean? Like, you may have guitars that have got slightly high action, or you might be selling mainly fretless guitars where you're still learning about fretting and you're not comfortable selling fret instruments at the time. There's a lot to do with fretting, making sure that they don't rip people's hands to shreds and things like that. You know, making sure that you've got your own niche, you've got your own style. You know, it's not just a case of copying the person next to you. It's a case of using and taking those experiences and those influences and building your own. I've been very heavily influenced by Darren, by looking at things and going and building, you know, instruments from older materials and things like that. I'm very you know, influenced by those people, by people around me, and I know that other people are influenced by what I do as well, and that's fine, because when I see someone using a technique that I use, or I know that they've taken from me, when they use it in their own way, that's like a big tick. I love that. I love seeing a builder doing something like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and
I agree.
I think,
and the point that you said, it's not about direct copy as well. It's taking inspiration and doing your own thing with it.
Totally. I mean, I can pick parts on this guitar straight away. This is, you know, an acoustic that are very heavily influenced by, for example, if I look at the headstock, how I do my recesses in my headstocks, for example. That's not to everybody's taste. That's okay, but I love doing it like this, and it's
a nice detail.
Yeah, well, that's copied off a guitar builder, and I've been doing this for 10 years by a fella named Malinowski, and I've sung his praises heaps. You know, I obviously take a lot of. So if you look at the little back strap here, on there, that's definitely a Mike Snowden thing. You know, that's Mike Snowden's guitars are stunning. They're incredible. That's a nod to Mike Snowden there. You know, that type of thing. A lot of the times I was using acoustic string pins and things like that for the backs of my acoustic instruments, and that was a nod to Daddy Mojo. You know, Lenny Piroth Roberts from Daddy Mojo. And I think Luca Tripoldi was a builder with him for a while as well. I'm not sure if he's still with him. And then you've got, you know, things like Alex Lechner. You know, I was doing stuff like this for ages, and I stopped doing this type of crazy thing. Sorry, I'll explain to the listeners. It's, you know, just using a steamer, one of the flaps from a vegetable steamer as a string retainer, and I hadn't done that in ages. And then when Alex sent me that box of goodies, it reinvigorated some of my primal building wants as well. So, you know, we're all inspired, and my suggestion is for people who are a bit scared about selling what they want, or scared about selling, is first ask yourself, do you really want to do it? Darren, I keep saying to Darren, hey, I'll make a website for him, but you know, Darren, if you don't want to do it, you don't do it. You know, at the end of the day, if you build because you want to, build because you love it, not because, you know, I think when it becomes a business, it stops being fun. And I've come back to having fun. I'm still running a business, but I'm having fun with it. And I'm quite prepared now to say to people, no, that's not what I'm going to do. Bugger the money. I want to do this, and like, you know, yesterday I was working on Alex's guitar. for I had to spend a couple of hours on Alex's guitar because I knew I needed to get it done. But it wasn't because I was doing it for Alex. I was doing it for me. I was getting...
Same with me.
Yeah.
That's what it all comes back to.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's the same thing. I'm building one for Bert right now, and I have gone probably a little bit more full on than what is required.
Yeah.
I could have kept it more simple, but I didn't want to. It's not just to building. It's not just because I'm building something flash or really stunning. You know what I mean? Like, I want to do that, and I want to do it for Bert as well because that's the gift I want to give him.
Well, you like
sure.
him. You like him. That's the thing.
Yeah, I like him. That's right. And I'm in a little bit of a funk too. I burnt out last year, and I've now got a bad back, and it's really hard for me to find the motivation. And if I didn't go to my usual standards on the neck in particular, if I didn't go to my usual standards, I wouldn't have had enough motivation or inspiration to continue.
Yeah.
So I had to put that. I had to re-kick the spark.
Yeah.
And to do that, I needed to build something that was interesting to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I love it. I'm back at work through the day thinking about my build instead of thinking about other crap.
Yeah.
And it's great.
That's wonderful.
So I like it, and I feel like I'm moving a little bit more, and the back is starting to get a bit better, and so yeah, I'm liking it, and Bert's gonna love it. Like, I can't wait to see him open up the package. Eh?
He's gonna shred it, dude.
Oh,
yeah, I know. Yeah. He
So,
is. I'm building it because
it's a shame that Darren and Jesse. It's a shame we didn't get you two hooked up. That would have been fun.
Yeah, that would have been.
Next time.
Yeah,
we'll do it again.
Yeah.
We'll do it again for sure.
You could have had this, Jesse.
See? Dang it. Yeah.
It sounds awesome. Darren was playing it for me yesterday. It sounds awesome. It is so good. It is.
So if we do another build swap and Jesse is involved, we all get a month or two. Jesse gets 3 days.
Yeah.
2.5.
Yeah.
Get the Oompa Loompas on it.
Yeah.
Hey, I built 2 necks today too.
Of course you did. He did that before he woke up.
I sanded all. I got up about 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sanded all those ukulele necks, got them all oiled, and I started on 2 guitars. And
I don't know how you do it.
Jesse, do you have a website?
No.
You don't. How are you selling?
No.
Are you doing markets?
No.
Facebook, same as me.
Just Facebook.
Yeah, but I haven't sold a guitar since December.
Oh, right.
In all honesty, why don't you look at Shopify? You can get a basic website for $7 a month. Real basic website for $7, and it works.
I don't know. I want to, and
you've got the stock. You've got the stock for a website.
I'm not really sure what keeps me from not having one. I guess I don't know.
Because Steve Harvey's out there playing. Mate, you'd sell your instruments. You don't have to sell overseas. Just do it domestic. But
if you had a web page, Jesse, how many guitars would you have available right now to sell? Not just one, not anything you want to keep. Like, just roughly, how much stock would you have for this website?
So we're talking anything from diddly bows to.
We're talking guitars. We're talking guitars.
Anything.
Yeah, anything. I've got 97 instruments for sale right now.
Open up
so
a website.
You have stock ready to go.
Yeah, it's actually not as difficult. It's truly not as difficult as it seems. Shopify, it can be a little bit finicky, but they've got very, very good support. They're very good.
How does it get promoted, Adam? Sorry to cut you off.
No,
but
you're
if
right.
you have a
So
website,
the best way to promote, because a lot of people.
Because how do you get the traffic? Is my question.
Yeah,
How do you get the traffic?
a lot of it's still organic. All right, so it's organic. So organic is when you're posting on Facebook. A lot of people, Jesse, don't want to call you or me. They don't want to phone because there's builders here in Australia who are building fantastic instruments, but they have a situation where they're going, here's my Facebook, or here's a very basic website, but the website that they have doesn't have a shop attached to it. It's like it's almost like a blog page. Phone me.
Gallery.
Now, whenever you phone people, because when it says phone me, people don't trust you on the price straight away. They're going to think, oh, he's going to rip me off. When you have a website that has a shop section and a checkout section, customers can see exactly what they're going to buy. You use 4 or 5 nice pictures of the instrument that you're selling. Very easy to upload those pictures. You take a photo with your phone, upload it to your desktop on your computer, or you can use your phone with Shopify. You can do it that way as well. It's quite simple to use, and it might take you a month or so to get used to it. But if you started one and put 1, 2, or 3 guitars up, and mate, I'm on the end of the phone. I use Shopify, and my main website that I use is actually Squarespace. Squarespace is costing me $44 Australian every month, right? I've got the Cigar Box Guitar Builder website, which I really have neglected. I haven't been doing much with it because I've been busy with other things. I have to admit that. And all I've got is T-shirts on it. And frankly, I don't like. Again, it's with the T-shirts. And I digress. Sorry, but with the T-shirts, it's again drop shipping, and I don't like drop shipping. So I'm actually going to be cutting that, and I'm going to rebuild the website. I'll do something with that. But Jesse, what I'm saying is, it does take a little bit of practice to do it, but I'm on the end of the phone. If you need any help with it at all, I'm very happy to help you. 97 guitars, that's a massive outlay of money for you.
So here's something very interesting that just happened 2 nights ago. Okay, mind you, I don't have the website, but somebody from California, which is half the country away from me,
yep.
Was traveling through. He's a ukulele player. All he did was search luthiers in the area, and my name was the first one that came up. So without a website, there is still the World Wide Web or Google.
Yeah.
Any searching engine is your website, because everybody the website, the internet knows all about us, whether we put ourselves out there or not. And it just blew my mind that this guy, he had a broken string. He thought maybe he could search for luthiers in the area, get his string replaced so he can go on with this journey.
Expedition.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I got him taken care of, and I don't have a website.
Right, so can you imagine now with a website how easy it will be for people to find you and your products? That's as simple as that. It's as simple as that.
I hear it all the time. From Jessica.
Yeah. She who must be. So is Jessica good with computers?
Neither one of us really are that well. No,
that's okay.
I'm probably a little better.
And I think that's what scares a lot of people about getting into it, is the unknown. But it's not. It's truly not. It's not a difficult thing, but you do need to research it a little bit. My suggestion would be, if you can get the $7 package from Shopify, go for that. It's a lovely little setup. It does take a little bit of practice, but it's I think it could work for you, Jesse. I really do. And I'm not sponsored by Shopify. I just want to see my friends do really well. And I think you've got such beautiful instruments and such beautiful product. And
thank you.
It would be lovely to see you, selling. Even if you were selling one a month.
Yeah,
that would be great. If you're selling 3 a month, that would be fantastic. I'm averaging, even with my site at the moment, I'm averaging maybe between 3 and 4 guitars a month. With mine, and I want more, but at the moment, with the current climate, with the way things are financially for everybody at the moment, it's like every single one of those sales definitely helps with paying the bills and all that sort of stuff. A little bit goes back into parts. I've neglected my tools. The next few builds that I do, I'm going to have to upgrade some of my tools because they're getting a bit blunt, getting a bit old. But
so you said you have 97, didn't you, Jetsy?
Yep.
So I think you need to build 3 more. Then you're at 100. Then you open up your web page that signifies your 100 builds for sale. And even if you sold each one for $100, that's $10,000.
I know it.
And you could really go, I'm ready. I've got 100. I've done 100. No one else has got 100 ready to go. Yeah. And it'd be great.
Then I'd have to turn it into a 36-hour day.
Even if you just had a pop-up website, let's say, for example, like these stalls that pop up here and there and sell the goodies and then they disappear, you could do that. You could do 48-hour only. This web page will disappear in 48 hours. Buy now, 100, time's ticking. Have a clock with time ticking.
See,
you never know.
It does surprise me sometimes when I see people putting guitars up for sale on the group, because I've always said this is a group of builders. We're not usually likely to buy off each other. I mean, I know it happens. Usually, it's a swap thing. Usually, as builders, we become friends with, and we might send a guitar to a mate, or that type of thing, or it's not often that we're buying instruments from each other. It's usually a friendship thing, that type of thing. But anyway, Jesse, I don't want you to feel henpecked about this, mate. It's like at the end of the day,
me neither.
Me neither.
I don't have a web page, so I'm exactly the same as you, Jesse.
Yeah, but you don't have 97 guitars to sell.
No, that's why I give him a little bit of a hard time.
Do you know what? I tell you what it is. When we're late at night, when everyone's asleep, Jesse comes down to his basement, and he turns the lights on and he turns the lights down low, and he sits there going, ooh. He goes, mine, they're all mine.
Some of those thoughts actually happen, though.
They would. Of course they would. How could they not?
They're just staring at me all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're remarkable builds, mate. And like even if we're looking, I'm looking at the wall behind you of all the cigar boxes on that wall.
There's
there.
5.
And there's 5 cigar box guitars just behind you on the wall. And I can tell you
just in frame
that each one of those guitars.
Oh, look at that wall.
Each one of the boxes there, we can't buy in Australia for less than $50 a piece.
Yeah, that too. Look at all those guitars. So to the listeners right now, Jesse's giving us a little tour of his basement, and he has guitars everywhere. I love your man cave, Jesse. It's fantastic.
Thanks. It's really fun to be down here. And it's even more fun that I can just go walk right into the shop.
Yeah. So the other thing that's good about having a website is this as well. You don't end up with strangers in your house. Do you know what I mean?
Sometimes I like that.
Yeah. That's because he feeds them to the Oompa Loompas.
Yeah.
Hey, Jesse, can I move in? Can I be one of the Oompa Loompas?
Yeah.
All right. On that, okay, guys,
guitars.
we're at an hour and 10 minutes, okay, on this craziness that is our podcast. I wanted to thank everybody. Look, we'll probably wrap it up there today. What? You all right there, Mika? All right. Mika the cat's just decided to come in, done one of those crazy spins around the room and shot out again. All right. Big thanks to Jesse, Darren, and Joe for spending time with us today. Thank you, guys.
My pleasure. Always my pleasure.
And again, just thank you to Ben Baker and the team at CB Giddy for sponsoring the show. It is deeply appreciated. Very, very quickly, Joe, I'm going to be sending you a 6-string flat pup. So can you DM me your postal address, please? And Darren, I have a 3-string flat pup from CB Giddy and covers for you to try on your next build. And
Ben hasn't friend requested me. I'm still waiting.
Darren's dirty on Ben Baker for not accepting his friend request. Yeah, well, I've warned him about you, mate.
Yeah, well. I'm a delightful young man.
He's entering this friendship very cautiously.
So he should.
Just touching the ground, seeing where things lie. All right, guys. I'm going to say a big thank you very, very much. Thank you for listening, everybody. I really appreciate it. Please don't forget, we do have a CB Giddy affiliate link down in the episode description. Thank you, an enormous thank you to those people who have been using the affiliate link, and I know a lot of you have used it and already used up your 3 10% specials, and you're just now using the affiliate link to support the show. So it is deeply, deeply appreciated. It does help. The old saying, it helps keep the lights on. So an enormous thank you. All right, guys, I'm going to say catch you later.
Yeah.
All right.
See you next time. Bye.
Not much friends.
Next time.